It's time to down tools for a bit. Welcome to the ToolShed, the influential podcast for anyone and everyone involved in the building industry. Here's your host, Mick Hawes.
Hey there, before we kick off, I want to share a really important thought. 71% of you who watch this channel frequently don't subscribe. So if you've enjoyed any video you've ever watched, can you do me a favor and hit the subscribe button? It helps the channel more than you think, and the bigger the channel gets, the bigger the guests get. So let's go. Hey folks, welcome to another episode of the ToolShed Podcast. In this episode, I'm speaking to Victor Zhou. He's a repeat offender. He's been on the podcast before, but it was a long time ago, so it's about time we catch up. He's from Your CFO Partner. So all about construction business owners and helping you get more profitability and optimization in your business, which is something that I'm sure everyone will want to learn more about. Before we get started, I just want to let you know and remind you, if you are a residential builder, if you've been around the sun at least 10 times in business, so you've got some sort of experience and you're still a little challenged from the financial side of things, like when the BAS comes around, you've got to rob Peter to pay Paul to get it sorted. Maybe you don't have holidays as often as you would like. Maybe you've got to work quite long hours still, and you want to change that. What we've created is a thing called the Builder's Readiness or Builder's Freedom Readiness Scorecard. It's a mouthful, I realise, but it'll take you about 2 minutes. Answer some questions, and based on the score you get in the 3 really critical parts of your business, you will get some tailored suggestions as to what you can start to do, where you're at. It'll give you a bit of description of what's going on, what you need to focus on, but some very specific actions that you can take to start to turn that around. And of course, if it's something you want to have a chat with me about, I'm more than happy to do that. All you need to do is hook up with me through LinkedIn, and we can get into a conversation, and I can give you some guidance as to how best to implement those ideas. So click the link. It'll be in the description. Take 120 seconds max to fill that out, and you'll get some really cool stuff in your inbox. Welcome, Victor. I'm trying to remember how long ago it was that you were on the podcast, and I'm thinking it might not have even been this podcast, because previous to this podcast, we had the Builders Success Podcast. So it could have even been that one. I can't remember. Maybe you've got a better memory than me. Can you remember?
I think it's almost been a year, right?
I think it's been more than that.
Thanks for inviting me again. I really appreciate that.
It's great to have you here.
Very fun being the show.
So just to get started, because it's been so long, give us a little bit of background about how you got into the financial space, but more particularly how you ended up in the financial space with construction, because that's your main focus and niche now. How did you end up where you ended up?
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. This is Victor Zhou from Your CFO Partner. We are construction accountant background by profession. So we started the business back in 2019, just a couple months before COVID. Was interesting time. So the reason that we come into this space was because in my early career that I was helping builders, but more helping the builders and contractors in the financial distress position, helping them to turn around the business. And that time that I spent a good couple years working with these people, understanding their needs. But by the end of the day, I always ask myself, like, why we are in this position? Like, why couldn't we fix it from the very beginning by seeing all these not so good result and not sad stories? That's the question come to my mind. So when I started my business back in 2019, I made a choice that I want to make a difference. I want to create a solution that actually can help the construction business owners to build a business that is cash flow positive, getting the decent profit they deserve, and be able to create a business that is going to support their own financial freedom journey and do the investment and be able to retire and living on the passive income that created by assets they create. So that's the background of how we come into this industry.
Yeah, nice. So you've been doing this for quite some time now, and you must have got some experience and seen some patterns in the construction industry of the errors that people are making that they need to fix to be able to become more profitable, and as you say, get into that space where you can invest in other spaces and make your money work for you. So you've got some passive income coming in, which is kind of the ultimate. That's the dream, making money while you sleep. But what are the errors, if you like, the mistakes that many people you've worked with tend to make that you work on and help fix?
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so I think to start with, let's start with one side. I think one of the mistake that the people make in this industry is to uh, accept what happens to other business uh, it can also be happen to their own business, right? And forget why they start a business from the very beginning. Like in the past few years, we constantly go back to ask our clients one question: that why are you in business? Right? By the end of the day, everyone's answer is sort of pointing in the same direction, that I want to make money. It doesn't matter what the purpose behind it. They could be trying to make money for their family, like for themselves, even for the community. But by the end of the day, they don't want to come into a business and fight through all the troubles that they're dealing with daily basis. And by the end of the day, they don't see the financial result. So from there, that we sort of go back to look at the business, like how they operate the business, right? Then what we find a mistake is like we we when we working in the construction business, from the books, from the financial performance, we can see something doesn't quite line up. Like for example, there's a cash flow gap between the receivable and payables. And some of the profit project doesn't really deliver the profit that they estimate from the very beginning. And also it's we always fall into a trap that it's easy to grow the revenue, but the bottom line getting worse. And it's not that the business owner have no awareness to these issues, but we quite often come into two positions. Number one, we can't realize to these issues too late. Like for example, uh, a lot of business owners say that I have cash flow issue, and we start asking like, when do you need money? Like yesterday. Right. When we get to that position and we're talking about how to resolve the issue, how to find the right finance solution to support cash flow, that's already been late. Not see that we couldn't fix the issue, but it take you the double, triple the effort to make it right. And number two is after seeing the problem, right? For example, a project is not making enough profit, or there is a cash flow gap. Um, what is the solution that we're going to take to fix the issue? If we look around and see, oh, everyone else is been doing the same thing, I just need to work on my next project to claw back the loss that I made on this project, or I need more projects in my pipeline, more revenue, so I can bring more cash flow. If we constantly stay in that mentality, right, then the issue is never going to get fixed, because the root cause that leads to that result is still going to be there. So there's some fundamental change that we as a business owner need to fix in our business in order to make things right.
One of the things that you mentioned there that I see all the time, and I'd be really interested in your opinion through your experience about it, is that when there is a cash flow problem or low profitability, the business owner tends to default to we need more revenue. And every time I've seen that happen, if you basically using the same mentality and the same processes and you increase your revenue, profitability goes down, stress goes up, and free time goes down as well. You get less time, less profit, and more stress by increasing the turnover. And obviously, the thing that needs to be measured is the net profit, like what you're left with. That's the thing that needs to grow. So what do you think it is that causes people to constantly think that I'm not making enough profit, so let's make that bigger and have more turnover, more people to talk to, more problems to deal with? What do you think causes that?
I think there might be a couple of things that we can relate it to for this problem. Number one is the ego, right? So we are in business that we want to be treated like as a successful,
Yeah.
right? So in the construction or in most of the business, like how would people judge us? A lot of times, people are judged by how big the business is, right? So this is, I think, is one of the contributor why a lot of builders, contractors, when they're talking about the business, they first start with their revenue, see that where I am with revenue, and then looking at other things, right? So, and another thing I noticed here is um, the reason why people chasing the revenue to fix the problem quite often is in in their toolbox, right? Getting more revenue is the easiest option to fix the null issue.
Yeah.
By getting more revenue, that means a couple of things that you might be able to climb the deposit, and at that time that you still don't have to spend too much money on that project as yet, so that surplus cash coming in can be used to cover other issues that we're dealing with. And also the revenue in the future, that the profit that we build into a project in the future, right, always seems to be an insurance, a guaranteed profit, until that we realize that we haven't really achieved the profit. So from both cash flow point of view and also from the mentality point of view, it provides a strong support for the business owner to deal with the current issue, both financially and psychologically, right? And I think that's why a lot of business owners would choose to grow the revenue to fix the null issue. But in reality, is that really a solution? Based on our observation, is never a solution.
No.
Because there is always going to be some fundamental issue that we overlooked by chasing the revenue. By the end of the day, well, we always talking about is profitability before the growth. There's, financially speaking, there are two things that are important. Number one is profit. Number two is cash flow, right? But if we don't have that profitability, we're not going to have a good cash flow by the end of the day. It's only a matter of who do we owe money to and how much, and when the things finally going to get out of control. So if a business is not making the profit it desired or it's designed, right, then the first thing that we need to look at is always why we don't making that profit. How do we fix that profitability issue before we go into chasing the revenue?
Yeah. So what are some of the things that you've found that you counsel your clients on to be able to fix that problem? Because you say, like, we can't have cash flow unless we've got profit. It just doesn't work. And my suspicion is that ego, again, you mentioned it before, plays a bit of a part in this, where we we think we've got to look good, we've got to drive around in the expensive ute, and just make everything look good, flash offices, what have you, all that sort of stuff. And in my observations, more often than not, the business isn't ready for those expenses yet. Like you can certainly work towards it, but how do you counsel, or do you counsel your clients to go, hang on a minute, we just might need to pull our horns in here and set some targets for profitability before we start spending all of this money on potentially unnecessary expenses? I know that they can rationalise in their minds that they need those things. I know that because I was very good at it, Victor. Many years ago, I was a champion rationaliser. I could rationalise why we needed anything, but it certainly didn't serve our financial health well. So, how do you help people to sort of put the ego aside and go, we're just going to have to do this ugly for the moment until we get the systems working to make profitability a thing in the business?
Yeah. There's a couple of things that we work with our client to help resolve that issues. So actually, to start with, we will jump out of the business. We'll go back to their personal goal. So, for example, like we will ask them, what is your financial freedom, retirement, living expense, right? What is that lifestyle looks like? By defining that, they come to understand like what kind of assets portfolio they need to build, and we can work sort of reverse engineering that to see how much the business really need to support them in order to build these assets, and plus living expense, so that give them an answer of how much money that they really need the business to generate for them. And from there, we can take the number back to the business, see how much money that business really generate. If it's there's a gap, right?
Yep.
And we can work out the sweet spot of the business revenue, or
Yep.
how much revenue that we need to deliver in order to generate that profit. This is from the business level. And then we also need to looking at the project level, right? So one thing I like about construction is like construction is project based. It's supposed to be one of the most easiest type of business to do the forecast, right? So from there, what we do is we ask our client to do a very detailed estimation and project schedule forecast for any project they have. They would lay out the uh, cash flow for the project before it starts, and then we have the system to track the project from start to the end. Let them understand where they are exactly with their projects, and understand uh, where their business sits. And another thing that we do to help client with that business expense control is we actually ask our client to put as much operating expense as possible into their estimation. Like I know a lot of builders when they do the when they do the estimation, they will say, okay, we don't really have a preliminary for the operating expense, or we assume it is a certain percentage. When we do the test with the builders and contractors, what we find out is 90% of case, right? Their estimate operating expense is lower than the actual cost. What that tells us that it actually costs more to run their business than they thought. It could be for multiple reasons. It could be some money got waste or some expense that arise during the project operation that they're not aware of. But whatever reason it is, their estimation is not a true reflection of the business expense, and they are cutting their profit even before they start the project. So that's some fundamental issue that we help business to fix in order to bring the awareness of what kind of expense structure they need to operate, and helping them to make a decision for the new investment. Like for example, like do I need or can I afford a new project manager, right? Or am I able to spend money to buy that equipment, or how much more money can I spend in this project before I come across to the break even on that project?
Mm.
So these are the fundamental um, numbers like business owners need to understand in order to operate properly.
Yeah. Yeah, and it never ceases to amaze me that there are still a lot of builders out there that don't know what their operating expenses are, let alone applying it to a project, and they're operating on a hope strategy where they put margin and markup, which are two completely different things that most builders don't understand, and they don't find out that project wasn't profitable at all until the project's finished, and probably even further down the track than that when they meet with their accountant, 6 months later. What can you do about it at that stage? Like you need to be figuring this stuff out at the start. So just final question, somebody listening to this, starting to get a bit of an understanding that maybe they don't know their numbers as well as they should, and there's some things that they need to understand and might want a hand to be able to put together a better process so they can price better, and so they can enjoy all of the things that you were talking about, potentially at some stage in the future having some passive income. What's the best way to get a hold of you? And then when they get a hold of you, what's the process that you take them through initially?
Right. Okay. So actually, the easiest way to get to us is either give us a call or reach to me on the LinkedIn. Um, I constantly talking to people on the LinkedIn, and I find that's a very effective way to communicate. So when a builder or contractor come to us, the first thing that we do for them is actually a business review, helping them to understand where they are with the business, and also give us opportunity to understand their business from the construction point of view. Not just working as accountant talking about compliance or numbers, but really understand what they do, and what they want to achieve, and what's stopping them to achieve that target. And then we will develop a program for them, and providing the right level of back office support. Right. So basically, we have different reports, different dashboard, giving the business owner the information that they need to understand where they are with the project, where they are with the business, and what's going to happen with both the project and business. And we also adopt the profit first methodology. I know, make you a big believer of that as well.
Yeah.
So, and we're using that system to sort of help the client to manage their cash flow, making sure they have all the needs covered under that profit first distribution methodology.
Yeah. I noticed on your LinkedIn profile, one of our we have 21 mutual connections in LinkedIn, and one of them's Mike McAllowitz. So there you go. So he's a fantastic guy, and I highly recommend the Profit First system. And so, folks, if you're thinking about needing a hand and getting some clarity on your financial position with the business, at least you can reach out to your CFO partner, have a chat with Victor, and you know that he believes in the profit first system. So that's got to be a good thing. Like that's a game changer as far as I'm concerned. It's so powerful and profound, and it's changed our lives and it's changed many other people's lives that we've taught the system to as well. So, Victor, from Your CFO Partner, thank you very much for being on the podcast. We will make sure that we've got your website and LinkedIn profile links in the description so people can just click on the link, reach out to you and have a conversation, but really appreciate you being on the show.
Thanks, Mick. It's really appreciate that you invite me, and it's a great time.
Thank you, Victor. Yeah. So that's it for this episode. One of the big reasons that people start their own business and take that risk and make the sacrifices to run their own businesses is that there is some thought in the beginning that I will have more freedom. I'll have more time freedom. I'll have more financial freedom. And as Victor has just pointed out there, more often than not, the financial freedom at least doesn't come to fruition all that often. And the part of the reason for that is it's impossible to be good at everything. If you're a great builder, you also need to be able to manage a team, and you need to manage logistics, and you need to be a psychologist and a babysitter and a mathematician, and so having people like Victor in your corner who focus in on one area and can guide you to excellence in that one area is the smart way to go, rather than you trying to be brilliant at everything, which is impossible. Surround yourself with people who are specialists in the areas that you need to make sure perform well in your business. So reach out to Your CFO Partner, have a chat with Victor, see where it goes from there. We'll make sure all of the links are in the description. The other link in the description is to the Builder's Freedom Readiness Scorecard. I mentioned it at the start. Invest 2 minutes and you will get some really cool suggestions and directions in your inbox momentarily after you've finished that. And as I said, if you want to reach out and connect with me through LinkedIn and have a conversation about the results that you're getting in that scorecard, and I can point you in the right direction as to how you can start to make some changes to get some more financial freedom, get rid of the financial stress, as well as get a bit more time back, a bit more choice back in your business as well. So that'll be a cool thing. We'll be back with another episode of the ToolShed Podcast. Before you know it, I'm Mick Hawes from Builders Business Black Belt. That is all. I am out. Bye for now.
You've been listening to the ToolShed. If this podcast struck a chord with you, make sure you spread the word by sharing it with your mates in the building industry. We love your help to make the building industry better for everyone involved.